Dustin Schutte with us. A little basketball. You mentioned in the break that Jon Rothstein has Indiana picked as his dark horse favorite or dark horse Final Four team.
One of five dark. He's one of five. Indiana's one of five dark horses on his Final Four list.
That's a lot of dark horses.
It is, yes. Considering there are only 4 teams that actually make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all the same, yeah. No, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it's just I guess this was always going to be the destination here. Like once everybody started talking about Indiana as a potential Big Ten favorite, someone was going to get this team get Final Four talk discussed, and I think obviously I think they're good, and I think what you saw in just at the Hoosier Hysterics event, tells you something basically that they are maybe a little bit better than I thought they were going to be. That there were a couple guys that are coming along that matter. That basically, like if you say, okay, well, if that guy is that good, then that changes your perspective a little bit. I mean, Tamar Bates looked really good, and we've been talking about Tamar Bates all offseason. So, but if Tamar Bates is a starting quality, like fringe all Big Ten guy, that raises the level. If Malik Reinow is a guy that can start, right out of the gate and make a difference, and he looks like he can, that raises the level. I mean, there are a few things that if Jalen Hood-Schifino can be a dude right out of the way, that makes a difference. But my thought was this team ought to be ranked somewhere top 15. Four though, like you saw the kind of pressure that the 2013 team had when everybody thought they should win the whole thing, and what they went with all off season. Now this was obviously different. I don't think anybody was pegging like Indiana had that in 2013 right after they got beat by Kentucky, like almost immediately within, especially after the Final Four was over, after Kentucky took it, it was like, okay, if Zeller's back, and he was, and Oladipo was obviously going to be back at that point because he hadn't made that leap yet. But it was like all off season. This is Indiana's team. This is finally what's going to be. So this group hasn't dealt with that. But you can amp up some pressure if you start talking Final Four around this group, and I think that's just a little much to put on this team. I think you ultimately, if they don't get there, you don't want a Sweet 16 for this group to be seen as a disappointment, and for the whole trajectory of the program and where it's going. I think that would be, I think, a rough deal for them. But things are possible, and I think the more that people kind of look at this roster and think, okay, well, if that guy makes a leap, and that guy makes a leap, and that guy makes a leap, then maybe they're better than we think.
Well, Travis Graff from Rivals.com, their national basketball recruiting analyst, has his list of top 10 players out. Oscar Tshiebwe from Kentucky, no shock there at number 1. Drew Timme from Gonzaga, obviously a great player. Armando Bacot from North Carolina. And then he's got Trace Jackson-Davis in the number 4 spot, which that's top 4. He's in the top 4.
you can shuffle those 4 guys wherever. I mean, they are, I think, going to be the sort of fascinating narrative of this season is those, as I've said before, those are 4 guys that in a different basketball world are in the NBA already. But as it stands, since the NBA has devalued the back to the basket big man, and NIL money has risen so that these guys can stick around and don't have to just roll the dice on being a second round pick just to get paid. These guys are the product. This is how the winds have shifted to keep those 4 guys in college when a lot of people, in years prior, they would have been long gone. And so they are, I think, very clearly, and I think you throw Marcus Sasser in there from Houston because he's really good, but that's just the 5 All-American.
He's number 5. He's number 5.
Yeah, those are the dudes. But those 4 big men. I mean, at first, you're going to see All-American teams that have 4 centers on it. But because those guys are going to be, gravitational forces of nature for their teams, and they're both, probably all going to lead their squads pretty far, and you'll see some shuffling of that in every preseason player ranking. Is it's those 4 guys again, like that have would in previous years been pros long ago, but.
And one thing I noticed,
motivations have changed, and they're sticking around, and so they're going to be
both Dustins on that list. 7 out of the 10, they're all big guys.
That's
six,
why.
and most of them are 6'8", 6'9" guys with a couple of 7-footers thrown in. Hunter Dickinson and Zach Edey, and Zach Edey is just a presence. I don't know how good of a
Large human
pro player he will be, but because of his size, he might be okay. But he's just a massive human that it's hard to move.
And he's got length. I mean, obviously he's got length when you're 7'4", but it's like he just has to stick his hand out when a ball comes off the glass, and like he can eat, like he has, without having to jump much, he has a wingspan. Like he there's like a radius of where the ball can come off that no one else can get it but him. Like basically, like if he's just standing under the bucket without having to move, without having to jump, like there is a wall around the paint where like wherever that ball comes down, it's coming down in Zach Edey's hands. And yeah, I mean, like he doesn't have to do a whole lot to score and to, get buckets and whatever. I mean, he is still, it is a pretty amazing story. I mean, I was still at the Athletic when he committed. I remember he showed up he was walking around at their version of, actually it's not even their version of Hoosier Stereo. They just have like a Saturday where they have some scrimmaging. And it's live. Like, it's not a big, there's no pyrotechnics or anything like that. It's Purdue. But, they just had basically like 3 scrimmages that were, live and open in West Lafayette. And, went to go watch that. And Edey's walking around. I mean, he committed like a week later. And like, I'm asking Brian Newbert, figuring he knows everything about Purdue guys. He's like, yeah, I have no idea who that is. And like we found out it was Zach Edey, and we Googled him, and it was like he had no picture at that point on like 24/7, and it's like that's one of those things that really, but like you're like he's huge, he's humongous. And so after he committed, I got him on the phone, and it was just amazing his story because he was just like, no, dude, like because he's such a down to earth kid, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I saw big guys pigeonholed. Everybody wants them to play basketball, so I did not play basketball because everybody wanted me to play basketball for that very reason. Like, that's why I stayed away from it. And then somebody dragged me out to play rec league ball in 10th grade, and I was like, wow, I'm good at this, and I like it.
And then he realized
hockey. It's so wild to me. It's an amazing story.
It's hard to, I'm sure. Was he in the goal? I imagine he's in goal.
Yeah. No, he wasn't in goal. He was a defenseman. He just beat the
crowd. My God. If he's in goal, he just has to do this, and you can never even see the net.
No, he was a defenseman. He was on skates, man. He was moving around. He could pitch.
We got to get you out of here, brother, down to Tom Allen. Dustin, shooting.
You guys.